popular rising bantamweight sensation, introducing Tenshin Nasukawa.
KO での初タイトル獲得なると。
Gerwin, the Gladiator Asilo.
タイミングのいいカウンターパンチで初タイトルと偶然のバッティングによる負傷で試合続行不能の場合、4ラウンド終了までは不傷。那須川天心ボクシング転向5戦目、世界挑戦へのパスポートとなる地位王座獲得へ。じりじりと前に出てくるアシロ。プレッシャーで結構距離、あ、左これは避けた。
そうですね、いつもよりかは狙っているなって感じですね。
それダウンと右。
そうですね、スタートから攻勢に行こうという構えが見られますよね。
足でフェイントをかけながら右のフック、左のストレート、フックを切った。左フックのカウンターも得意ですね。
得意ですよね。バンタムウェイ選手の打ち出すタイミングもそうですし、打ち出す。
村田さん、今アシロの振ってきた右はちょっと怖いですよね。
そうですね、あれとあとはスピードありますね。今日もスピードに乗っていますね。はい。
今顔にヒットしました。いいジャンプです。
コンビネーションでカウンター成立させようとするので、そのあたりは今のみたいな感じですね。
いいですね。アシロ選手はやっぱり状態も柔らかいんで、上下に打ち分けていくっていうのは。
強い左です。第1ラウンドが終了しています。もう自分を無視できない状況になっていると思うと、しっかり勝ってステップアップしたいと話しました那須川天心です。村田さん、この左が合ってましたね。
不用意に打つのは怖いですよね。一緒のタイミングで合わせてくるんで、
手だけではなくて足のフェイントを入れていく那須川天心です。
そうですね、踏み込んで打ってくるのでかなり遠くは感じていると思いますね。
左を伸ばしてもう一回左。アシロの方も小刻みにフェイントをかけています。
リズム自体がすごく良くなっているので、
いろいろフェイントをかけて相手を手を出せなくうまく使っている感じがしますけど。攻撃的に来てますね。
そうですね。
おっと、右のノーモーションです。はい、どうぞ。
アシロ陣営ですが、いいぞいいぞ、主導権握っているぞというふうにですね。
23歳の若者です。左と右の相打ちです。
今のリズムはいいですよね。
いいですね。今内割れを狙っていったアシロ。村田さん、アシロも狙ってますね。合わせてきますね。ちょっと顔が曇りましたアシロ。ちょっとバランス崩した。おっと、右のフックカウンターです。
今のフックは良かったですね。反応できるんですけど、3発4発の反撃が
左がヒット。ボディーです。ナイスボディー。1回滑る。右のボディーです。左を伸ばします。これ左のストレート、右のフック。決してパワーがついたというわけではなくてタイミングが良くなった、そう話しています那須川天心です。また右、これに左のフックをかわしていこうという。足が伸ばしていきます。第3ラウンド終了です。
そうですね、右もタイミングいいし、こう軽く当てる右であったりとか、しっかりと打ってくる右、
そこだけちょっと怖いですね。
さあ距離を詰めて、おっと中盤を返してくる。左を伸ばします那須川天心。今カウンターでちょっと右狙ってきました。今アッパー狙ってきましたね。ナイスジャンプ。
このラウンドは前の手の圧、これを強めていこうとしています。
こういった動きいいと思いますよ。今みたいな動きを
フェイントかけてプラスで左のストレート、これは空を切っています。左のボディです。左のボディもう一回。
今のボディ、このボディ攻めたいですね。
見事だとすごいです。
駆け引きやフェイントなんかでも
ガード。ナイスボディいいですね。中央で宮尾。今振らせました。
そうですね、狙っているというのはありますけどね。
右です。足の右はアジアパシフィックのバンタム級の王座決定戦。右の
攻撃面で非常にいいものが出ていますね。 相手が打てなくなった体勢をしっかり狙ってそこを打った方がいいと思いますね。
右のストレートノーモーション左のフック。山中さん、やっぱり足の近場は振ってきますね。
そうですね。
おっと
やっぱりタイミング、打ち出しのタイミングはいいですよね、足も。
やはりこう自分の体勢力まずに自分の体勢で打てればパワーがあるように見えるんですと。さあプレッシャーかけて振ってくるパンチをかわして
左なんかも、2種類分けていましたよね、
はい、
いきなりの左と。
いいですね、チェックもう一回チェック。村田さん、右のジャブが当たるとペース取れますね。
そうですね。ただ
不用意に飛び込みますと右飛んできます足。右です。ワンツーです。
フェイントかけながら相手が打ってくるところに合わせるっていうのもあるので、
あっと
じゃないんですけど、少し
正面に立っている足です。戻ってきて連打です。
足は自分自身リズムつけるためですよね。
大きくもう頭を下げて大きく振ってきます。右を伸ばします。もう右を伸ばしてきます。足です。
でさっき言ったように僕はちょっともうバスカー君今の待ちの姿勢はやめてほしいんですね。
左ですね。フェイント入れてボディです。
いいですね。今のも良かったですよ。
いいですね。
そこから左のパンチつながって当たると、
ちょっと角度を変えてフェイントから左。
こうやって自分で常にフェイントだったりとか上半身の動き、そういう柔らかさが今は必要だと思います。
ちょっと足も動かしま
そうです
す。
ね、これでリズム出してどんどんいきたいです。
左のスラーッとくる。もう一回右足の手をうまく使っています。那須川選手。いいジャンプです。
相手を待つんじゃなくて今みたいにこのボクシングをしたいです。
なるほど。
ここで作ってそうで相手を崩して打った方がいいです。
ナイス。左のストレートで狙いますが、ここは上半身が柔らかい足を
使いたいです。
もう一回右を伸ばしてきます。左のフック、右のフック。画面の一番奥にいるのがレジー・スガノフと言いまして、
はい、しっかり自分で作った方がこうです今みたいな展開としてはいいと思う。
受けるような感じになっています。
リズム変えたい。
右ストレート一発ではなく2発3発打っていけと。あとは9分だと。
なるほど。王座決定戦。右を伸ばします。
今の下がいいですね。ボディをしっかり打ちたい。相手がずっと上半身の動きだとか、フェインターとか言ってるとそういうところなんで。
選手の攻撃の後に足力打ってくるんで、その後で行きたいですね。
制限させた時に上を打ちたいですね。
これもかわされます。おっとこれは滑ります。スリップです。左の打ち下ろし。
小刻みにこう状態を動かしながら狙っているっていうのがあるので、
ありますね。
なかなか天心も慎重にいかないといけない。
9分頑張ればお前はチャンピオンになれると、
はい、
そういう指示を。
いい距離感です。もう一回振ってきます。これはバックステップで壊しました。左ですね。
今みたいに相手が
そうですね。逃げますね、顔面がね。村田さんが言うより自分からいけるでしょうかね。これはガードです。ショートのいいボディ入った足。左。山中さんいいですね。左のボディ。おお、右行った。
しっかりそれに従ってほしいですね。
はい。マウントレーナーが言ってたことです。右を振らせて左のカウンター。ボディです。左のボディ。ちょっと近いか。
リズム変えたいんですね。リズム変えて、
今右のフック。ボディから。第9ラウンドダウンを取りました。ちょっと滑ったような感じもありましたが、ダウンを染谷は支持しています。 さあまだじっくり見ている那須川天心です。はい、出てくれば隙ができます。右にボディナイスボディ。
ラインに自分で作っていけばチャンス出てくるので、
カウンターもらいますよ。
このジャブのタイミングってのは
巻き込んでいくような感じ、クリーンヒットはしませんでした。ちょっと後ろの方も下がり始めています。
詰めてからの右のタイミングいいですよね。
これはバックステップ、これはガード前の手でちょんと相手のグローブを触ります。時間を気にしている足場です。追っていく。
もう一回打ってきたいですね。
上を狙います。大きく左のフックを振ってきましたジェルウィン・アシロ。
ここからまだ下も欲しいですね。
上に行きましたね。左ボディからです。もう一回、これは手を送りました。これはスリップです。スリップ。
ちょっと良かったんで、その後に左上下つなげていったら、
この左はバックステップでかわしていこうという足です。
これはダウンじゃないと思うんですけど、
ね、はい、
ただこのむしろダウンよりもこういうダメージの方が大きかったと思うので、
あ、なるほど、
はい、まあ次のラウンド
足を動かせと、そしてあと3分がとにかく楽しめという指示を来ています。
クリーンヒットにならないですよね。
ならないですね。おっと、これを打ち下ろしてきました。左右に行く。ストレート。さあ距離詰めて那須川天心。
ですが青トレーナー笑顔で送り出しまして、柔らかくいこうというラストラウンドです。
大きく振ってくる足の
何らかのアクションを足の方が入れるので、
右から左。アッパーから入れていったらストレート。おーっとカット、左のまぶた。続きます。頭がちの目に入るような位置ではあります。大きく振ってくる足。
気をつけたいですね。
ライトに右を伸ばしていきます。足の足のは右のストレートを狙ってくるでしょう。10ラウンド試合終了のゴングを聞きました。那須川天心ボクシング転向5戦目。
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, the judges are in agreement. We have a unanimous decision, all three, in favor of the winner. He is now the WBO Asia Pacific Bantamweight Champion, Tenshin
Nasukawa. And beat you. Yeah, it's bad. If you look at the fight, he was much slower. He only threw a hook. Like,
Gervonta Davis has finally spoken out with a brutal reaction to Jake Paul's crushing knockout loss to Anthony Joshua, and his comments have stunned the boxing world. The WBA lightweight champion showed no mercy after seeing hospital photos of Paul's badly injured face, including reports of a broken jaw and lost teeth. According to people close to Davis, he couldn't stop laughing after watching Joshua dismantle the YouTuber in Miami on Friday night, making it clear that Tank had zero sympathy for the outcome.
he was going to like tie him down and catch him with a good shot and shit like that.
So wait, do you think, curious, because it's a business aspect, but again, I'm still a nigga, and I'm still a casual fan, so I'm being real. So
Jake Paul endured one of the most punishing losses seen in recent boxing, getting knocked down 4 times before being knocked out cold in the 6th round. What followed was even more shocking than the fight itself. The next morning, Paul shared graphic hospital x-rays showing his jaw fractured in 2 places, confirming what viewers already feared. It was clear that Anthony Joshua's power was on a completely different level from anything Jake had ever faced before.
But will you take care of me forever and ever? 3 in the morning, I can't sleep, my jaw's busted. They wired it up a couple hours ago and it hurts every time I move my mouth. I lost tonight, I gave everything and I still lost. Feels like I let everyone down. I'm not a—
Paul then posted on Instagram, "Double broken jaw. Give me Canelo in 10 days," a statement that instantly went viral. Millions of boxing fans flooded the comments, mocking him for being brutally beaten and then immediately calling out an even more dangerous opponent. But it was Gervonta Davis's reaction to Paul's injuries that sparked the biggest controversy of the weekend, splitting the entire combat sports world straight down the middle. But before getting into Tank's brutal reaction, the real damage Jake Paul suffered was far worse than most people realized, and the medical details are truly disturbing. According to multiple reports from Miami University Hospital, Paul needed emergency surgery immediately after the fight, with doctors working through the night to repair the severe injuries caused by Anthony Joshua.
Jake Paul got knocked out by Anthony Joshua this past Friday night, and so I want to break this down from a medical perspective. I'm a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience, and so, you know, what happens is when you get hit in the head with that kind of force, like in boxing, our brain actually moves inside our skull, and it can bump into the skull, which is a firm structure, and cause bruising of the brain.
Sources close to Paul's medical team said the surgery lasted more than 4 hours, during which doctors placed 2 titanium plates on each side of his jaw to stabilize the breaks. One medical insider explained that the final right hand from Joshua was so powerful it fractured both sides of Jake's jaw at the same time, an injury usually seen only in serious car crashes. That detail shows just how extreme Anthony Joshua's punching power is, and why so many boxing experts warned that stepping into the ring with a true heavyweight champion was incredibly dangerous.
Causes repeated trauma to the brain. And over years and years of this happening, people can get what's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE syndrome. And it's almost like a disease because with repeated trauma to the brain, and that can lead to memory problems, mood swings, even trouble with movements, and eventually people can develop dementia,
But the broken jaw wasn't even the worst of Jake's injuries. During surgery, doctors discovered even more severe damage. Medical reports say Jake Paul lost 7 teeth during the fight, with several others loosened so badly they had to be removed right away to prevent infection. Paul later confirmed it himself on Instagram, writing, 2 titanium plates on each side, some teeth removed, only liquids for 7 days. The harsh reality of heavyweight boxing stunned Jake's fan base, many of whom truly believed he could compete at the highest level of the sport.
私は少しめちゃくちゃだけど、あなたは永遠に私を大事にしてくれますか?
Jake Paul gets his jaw broken. Not only that, but he gets his lower jaw broken from the right and the left side, so both sides. And not only this, following that, he went through an emergency surgery procedure to get that sorted out, and titanium plates were inserted to help stabilize the case. This will take long.
The boxing world has been divided, with some showing sympathy for Jake's injuries while others argue he got exactly what comes from repeatedly calling out real fighters. But this is where things take a wild turn. Gervonta Davis has reportedly been watching the entire situation with pure amusement and satisfaction. Tank was originally set to fight Jake Paul in November before legal issues canceled the bout, and many believe Davis is quietly relieved it never happened, especially under the specific conditions Jake's team had pushed for.
Pushed down on the back of his neck, pushed down on the back of his head, got him to the ground. There was a few times where Jake looked like he was going for a takedown. Again, that was Jake trying to engage in the clinch, and AJ smartly moved back. In one instance, I think it was the 5th round, Jake engaged for a clinch, AJ moved back and started punching.
According to people close to Davis, Tank has been mocking Jake Paul in private group chats over the knockout and his injuries. One insider said that after seeing the hospital photos, Davis laughed nonstop for nearly 20 minutes, repeatedly saying he had warned everyone that Jake wasn't ready for real boxing. Those private comments have since leaked on his social media through boxing pages and fan accounts, sparking a huge debate over whether Davis crossed a line or was simply saying what many believe is the truth.
Anthony Joshua sleeping Jake and breaking his jaw in 2 different places, along with breaking his teeth. Gervonta joined the fun with the rest of the boxing community by throwing a meme on Jake Paul. That was his reaction, as you guys.
Many fans feel Tank is justified in mocking Jake Paul, especially after Jake spent months publicly attacking Davis and calling him unprofessional when their planned November fight fell apart. The tension between them has been growing for a long time, and Jake's brutal loss to Anthony Joshua gave Gervonta Davis what many see as the perfect chance to respond to all that disrespect. The most shocking part of Tank's reaction, according to sources, came when he began comparing Jake's injuries to what he believes would have happened if they had actually fought in November.
Was knocked out in round 6 and suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
Chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process?
People close to Davis say he's been telling everyone in his camp that Jake got off easy facing Anthony Joshua instead of him. One of Tank's training partners revealed, Gervonta keeps saying AJ at least finished it quick and clean. According to Tank, if they had fought, he would have made Jake suffer for all 12 rounds before finishing him, just to teach him a lesson. These comments have sparked heated debates online, with many analysts arguing that Davis, at 135 pounds, could never have caused the same kind of damage as Joshua at 243 pounds. Still, Tank's supporters insist that his speed and precision would have created even bigger problems for Paul, making the fight far more humiliating than the knockout by Joshua.
On Jake's back. So all of those things kind of deteriorated or emptied Jake's gas tank a lot earlier than I think he expected it to. But overall, I thought he deployed his game plan well for the first 5 rounds and actually had some success. He even moved AJ back a few times.
The truth is, we'll never know what would have happened if Tank and Jake had actually faced each other, but the canceled fight remains one of the biggest what-ifs in recent boxing history. Jake Paul first called out Gervonta Davis in August 2025, and both camps spent months trying to set up an exhibition fight for November in Miami. The September press conference was tense, with Davis showing little interest in the matchup and Paul making controversial remarks about Tank's reading abilities and legal history. Davis called Paul a clown, while Jake kept bringing up Tank's past legal issues, creating a hostile atmosphere between the fighters. Then, just weeks before the fight in late October, Davis's ex-girlfriend filed a civil lawsuit accusing him of battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Most Valuable Promotions immediately canceled the bout, and Jake Paul launched a massive social media attack on Tank, tearing into his character and reputation. On X, Paul wrote, Gervonta Davis is an actual walking human piece of garbage. Working with him is an absolute nightmare. The unprofessionalism, the bizarre requests, the showing up hours late to shoots. If you support this man, you support the most vile sin a man can commit.
Yeah, he just
for the right moment to respond ever since. Initially silent after the fight's cancellation, Gervonta Davis finally spoke out in early December, firing back at Jake Paul's accusations.
Paul was knocked out in round 6 and suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
Chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process?
According to multiple reports, Davis claimed that Jake Paul actually called off the fight because he was getting beaten badly in sparring, not because of Tank's legal issues. Tank even posted, and later deleted, several messages on social media, including one saying, MV couldn't uphold nothing. Al Haymon had to come in to take over everything. MVP is garbage. Y'all run nothing at Netflix. These deleted posts added more fuel to the fire, showing that Tank has zero respect for Jake or his promotional team. Now, with Jake lying in a hospital bed with a shattered jaw and missing teeth, Tank finally has the ultimate proof that his warnings about Jake not being ready for real boxing were completely spot on.
AJ came right back in and swung, but he did move him back.
When this fight was first announced, you said to several media members that initially you weren't down for this fight. You thought it was just a little bit too much too soon, to paraphrase. Did he do better? Did Jake do better than you thought? Result aside, obviously you wanted him to win. You thought, I think by the end, that he was going to win, but did he actually do better than you thought?
This viewpoint has struck a chord with millions of hardcore boxing fans who've long wanted someone to humble Jake Paul and expose the limits of his skills. On the other hand, Jake's massive fan base has fired back at Tank Davis just as fiercely, calling him a coward hiding behind legal issues instead of proving himself in the ring. One viral tweet supporting Jake read, "At least Jake Paul had the balls to fight Anthony Joshua. Tank Davis keeps fighting guys half his size and then talks trash when real fighters get hurt."
Wasn't there any posts, but
Yeah, just a lot of punching down, practicing, hitting below my knees, and a lot of speed work for warm-up. We're sparring, this is what we need. Warm up, warm up. I've got 80 olds in there, anything. If I find out anything, I'ma beat your ass, and I'ma beat Jay's ass too, on my mama. I'ma beat both of y'all, on my mama. And then he was laughing, knowing exactly what he meant.
yeah, just a lot of punch.
Eddie Hearn told ESPN, "Hats off to Jake. A broken jaw is really tough to come back from, but that last shot AJ landed would have knocked out many heavyweights." Hearn's comment highlights Jake's toughness while confirming that the damage was extreme and could have lasting effects on his career. Doctors familiar with jaw fractures explain that Jake's injury, a bilateral mandibular fracture requiring titanium plates, usually demands 6 to 8 months of recovery before returning to contact sports. Some experts believe Jake could be out for all of 2026, which would derail both his momentum and promotional plans. On top of that, the dental work alone will take months, as he needs extensive reconstructive procedures to replace the 7 teeth he lost in the fight.
So Jay, you know, he was a tough guy in there. Obviously, he moved a lot and made it difficult for AJ. And AJ's been out of the ring for a while. He's a bit rusty. It took him time to just get hold of him, but I was impressed with Jay. And listen, as I said to Nikisa, at the end of the day, he took shots that a lot of people would have got knocked out clean out by, especially at the end, you know. So, yeah.
Was it frustrating for you to watch?
No, I mean, maybe, but obviously, when someone's moving...
One oral surgeon explained, losing 7 teeth from impact trauma is extremely serious. He'll need implants, bone grafting, and likely multiple surgeries over the next year. These long-term consequences have made Tank Davis's mockery seem even harsher to some, while others argue Jake knew the risks when he signed the contract. The aftermath of this fight has completely shifted the narrative around Jake Paul's boxing career and forced fans to rethink what his future in the sport might look like. Even Anthony Joshua acknowledged Jake's courage during the post-fight press conference, saying, "Jake did well while it lasted. I take my hat off to him because a lot of fighters haven't stepped in the ring with me, and Jake did."
Friends to get Gavin because I'm saying we'll argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to him up. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. He was 40 pounds heavier than him, he's 6 inches taller. That's insane. One of the most skilled fighters.
Joshua even hinted that Jake could still have a future in boxing, potentially facing fighters closer to his size, like Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia, in 2026. This has kept the possibility of a rescheduled Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight alive, which could be even bigger now given all the surrounding drama. The real question, however, is whether Jake will actually want to step back in the ring with Tank after experiencing the brutal power of Anthony Joshua.
To do what he had to do to survive, and he did that. So you know, it's very difficult to go in like, you know, out of the ring for 14 months and just be razor sharp with a guy running. And so yeah, probably 2 or 3 rounds more than expected. But fair play to Jake Paul. It was a lot tougher than I thought, and he took a lot more shots than I thought he could.
What did AJ tell you inside the ring about the...
Jake's own comments after the fight hinted that he's reconsidering his approach to boxing. I'm going to come back and fight people my weight and go for the Cruiserweight World Championship at some point, Paul said. I'm going to take a little break. This shows he finally realizes he has no business competing at heavyweight. Meanwhile, social media has been flooded with memes and jokes about Jake's broken jaw and missing teeth, with Tank's fans leading the charge and trolling the YouTuber.
Wicked fight. Respect to Jake Paul for taking the fight. Took a heavy shot. But you know what? What a fantastic fight he put on. But big well done to AJ. We knew from day one AJ was going to do it. The better fighter was going to win.
People said that Jake Paul was running. Do you feel like he ran, or do you...
I mean, against someone like AJ, AJ's a big guy, strong guy, and he can hurt you. So yeah, 100%, like, he's going to want to avoid his power, but you know what? He got caught in the corner and bang you.
One viral meme juxtaposes Jake's pre-fight trash talk with his hospital photos, captioned before and after meeting Real Boxing, and it has been shared millions of times. Another popular post shows Tank Davis laughing, with the text, "When you dodge a fight, and then watch your replacement do exactly what you would have done." These jokes have angered Jake's fans, who see Tank's reaction as disrespectful to someone who just endured serious injuries. But the reality is, trash talk and mockery are part of combat sports, especially when fighters have been exchanging insults for months. As Jake spends the coming months recovering, with his jaw wired shut and missing teeth being replaced, he'll have plenty of time to consider whether continuing his boxing career is worth the risks.
1-3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people just wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him, is 6 inches taller. That's insane. One of the most skilled fighters.
Meanwhile, Tank Davis remains at the top of the lightweight division, watching his name trend as fans debate whether he could have caused even more damage than Anthony Joshua. The only way to know for sure will be if Jake Paul fully recovers and decides to reschedule their canceled fight sometime in 2026 or 2027.
Graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are immense, but I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron is, fighting's not just physical, it's psychological.
Until then, the boxing world will keep debating, and Tank Davis will keep laughing at the brutal karma Jake Paul faced after months of disrespecting real professional fighters. That's all for now. For the latest updates on news, highlights, events, and everything happening in boxing, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our quality content. Until next time, peace out.